I need to give some information before he does that. I sent out the work programs, I believe it was last week. If you are on our distribution list, you should have received that. If you did not, please let me know, and I will check our distribution list to make sure in the future you don't miss anything. Now, we did hand out the Escambia County Work Program report. Unfortunately, we did not have the Santa Rosa report, and I apologize for that. And I'm from Santa Rosa County, so it wasn't me. But no, it wasn't anybody's fault. It was just an oversight. So we will definitely have those in the future. But anyway, just wanted to let you all know that. Mr. Paul?
Thank you, Mary Beth. We do have a new report format, as Mary Beth mentioned. This was provided in advance of our district-wide public hearing that occurred last week. Many of you may have already reviewed the programs for your respective counties, so I will not go through these line by line. A sidewalk project at Legion Field. We have two new resurfacing projects in Santa Rosa County, one on US 90 and one on State Road 87, along with an interchange improvement at US 90 and West Spencerfield Road. That concludes all the new projects in there, but if you've got any questions on those or any of the projects within the regional reports, I'd be glad to try and answer those at this time.
Any questions or comments?
Just from the airport, Pensacola International was contacted by District 3 Aviation the last week of September saying there was more money available. So we did add a project in 27 as a priority number 1. We did notify when we had the group meeting, was that last week, and also submitted to go for the TPO.
The department did have additional funds in fiscal year 27 and did solicit to all the commercial airports and some of the general aviation airports in our region. That was basically on a first come, first served basis. And by the time Pensacola's request was received, we did not have sufficient funds to cover that priority. Your previous number 1 priority was funded in 27.
Additional questions?
Yes, Brian, we have 5 projects that are listed, safety projects. That's on page 6. There are 5, and it's on Santa Rosa, so it's not gonna be in the handout that you have. This is for Santa Rosa County. What are those?
Okay, the first one on Berry Hill Road from Chamathla to West Spencer Field. We anticipate that being a widening of the shoulders, 5-foot paved shoulders and a 3-foot unpaved shoulder. And we're showing the design occurred or was available current year and a lap with Santa Rosa County for this project. We have to do the lap program. The Navarre Parkway at Sunrise Drive. That we're going to update the signals there to mast arms, and in those signal phases, we're going to provide a left turn lane, or left turn lane, excuse me. finally, US 90 at Shalapa Highway. Those are modification and upgrade of the traffic signals at that location. Don't have any additional details as to what the upgrades are. I'll have our traffic operations officer find out.
Okay, and there's, one more skip down, the next one, at East Spencer Field, safety project.
Similar situation there, that's an upgrade to mask arms in addition to additional drainage improvements at that location.
Okay, and then the one, after that.
The I-10 project,
Yes, I think that.
that's the expansion of Clear Zone.
Okay, and there's one more that's on page, page 5. The second one, U.S. Corridor Management Improvement Project, it has miscellaneous construction.
Yes, those are the ongoing intersection, and access management improvements that came out of that corridor plan several years back. I think this is the final project for those improvements. The department does sit down annually with Santa Rosa County and basically determine, a top 10 list of what's remaining, as far as intersection improvements or improvements along that corridor. Again, I don't have the details as to the specific locations, but we can find those out.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Brian, this is.
Yeah, Gary.
Any question? Talked about it yesterday.
Oh, one moment.
Brian, talked about the quarter management.
One second, Gary. Hey, Gary, 1 second. I'm so sorry. All right, Gary, give it another shot.
Okay. Brian, the quarter management plan studies and
Yeah, Gary's asking about the set aside for your corridor studies and probably the corridor implementation also. The department continues to struggle with our revenue situation. We look at the opportunities to fund the set aside totals, set aside funds for your area. Those are predominantly covered with your urban attributable dollars or your SU funds. With that being said, we had other needs in the area, the design for US 90 in Santa Rosa County, the continuing programming towards the regional ITS system. So we continue to struggle with getting beyond your initial set aside, which relates to your ongoing operation and maintenance of your ITS systems. So we have a situation where our federal funds have kind of plateaued for many years, and so we don't have the ability to continue to program beyond that first set aside amount and continue to program the other capacity needs that are in this area. So what we hope to see is in the future, as we get the new federal bill passed, that there will be additional funds that come in, not only across the board, but more specifically under your SU category. That will allow us to make up for and program these corridor studies and corridor implementation projects.
Anything else? Is here a motion? Yes.
Hey, Christine Fanchi, Escambia County Transportation Engineer. I just have 3 quick questions, Brian. First, there's a safety project programmed on Langley and Davis. What's the scope of that one?
Can you give me a page number? I can get to it quicker.
I can. On page 13 of Escambia County.
I'm showing upgrade of signals, in addition, upgrade of pedestrian signals and the pedestrian detector.
That's what I assumed, but thank you for clarifying that. The other thing was, I know we've been talking about Beulah interchange forever, and it's a high priority. Can you explain why we didn't do any construction funding in 27? Can you talk through like how that was discussed?
The Beulah interchange project is on our strategic intermodal system, and that has both a 5-year and a 10-year component. There's no additional programming in the 5 years through 27, but your second component from 28 through 32, you do have funding in that part of the SIS plan.
Okay. So we're hopeful we'll see it maybe next year, as early as next year.
It's currently in fiscal year 32 of that plan.
Right.
I will say that interchange is on the district's list for potential projects for advancement with any federal stimulus dollars, along with many others, but it is on that list. So it is a very high priority for District 3.
Great. And then the last question was, you mentioned the $3 million for the ATMS, ITS that was advanced. Is there any way that we could advance some monies in 23 on that project so that we could get going with the design phase?
Nothing was advanced. It was just programmed in the new 5th year. So basically,
Right.
you've got 4 years worth of funding,
So can
24
we put
for
a chunk
20.
in 23 so that we can get started sooner with design?
Well, we're
Yeah,
looking at
that's a ask.
opportunities for doing that because Austin had the TPO pass a resolution in support of using the stimulus funds that came through one of the stimulus coronavirus acts,
Excellent.
$1.6 million for that.
Okay.
So we're
for the
looking at an
design.
opportunity to use that for the design.
Immediately.
Well, as soon as we can get it finalized as to who's going to design it.
Excellent. Okay, that's excellent. That's all I had. Thank you.
Do you have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Do we have any further discussion? Yes.
I have just one more question for Brian. All of the safety projects that you defined for me, is it written somewhere that I can take it back to my commissioners? I mean, I'm gonna explain it to them, but somehow in the document, so they know that this is what the plan is.
Our work program office can provide you with some information as far as the general scope that we put in the work program. You know, that's, again, fairly general because a lot of these have to be designed. So, but, you know, I can get our work program office to send you a summary of those.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can we vote now? Let's vote. Motion is passed.
Next, we are going into presentations. This requires no action. And our presentation today is enclosure G. This is a review of the draft Berry Hill Road West Corridor Management Plan. I just want to say that this is a draft this month, and it will come back most likely in your consent agenda in December. So this is the most information you will get presented. And Miss Jill Nobles will be presenting. Jill, can you hear?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. There's a bit of an echo, but I will try and work through that. This is, like Mary Beth said, the draft Berry Hill Road West Corridor Management Plan. If you can go to the next slide, please. I'm speaking on this today as Caitlin Serene, who's now with the city of Pensacola, was working on this project, and her and our consultant Wiley Page are in attendance. So if you ask me too hard a question, I'll throw it over to them. Next slide. The purpose of a corridor management plan, we're looking at identifying operational and access management type of improvements, and this is for all modes of transportation. So for this roadway in Santa Rosa County, we're looking at roadway capacity as well as bicycle and pedestrian movements. Next slide. This is the extent of the project. You can see 5 points on the far western end, and then all the way to right around Laughlin Tech, just west of Anderson Lane on the eastern end. Next slide. We started this process earlier this year with data collection and looking at what are the conditions on the ground right now. We held the first public workshop in the spring, and after that workshop and that initial feedback, we started developing conceptual study solutions. In the summer, we had workshop number 2, and now we have the final draft plan, and we're asking for comments through November 24th, and we'll be getting asking for adoption in December. Next slide. We held public workshops at the Pace Community Center. We had a great turnout, even though this was, in the midst of the coronavirus. And we also went to utilizing Facebook Live for these events to get online engagement as well. Next slide. So some of the recommendations that came out of this plan, we had a recommendation for including a new school zone area for right around West Spencerfield Road or just west of West Spencerfield for the Camelot Academy. And then for Berry Hill Elementary School, this is what it currently looks like. And it's just on the edge of being long enough to consider additional signage and school zone signage and reminders to people to, slow down. So next slide will show you the new signage, additional speeding fines, doubled signs, and additional flashing school zone sign closer to the school on the just east of it. Next slide. Another recommendation was at West Spencerfield Road, putting in a pedestrian crosswalk as well as pedestrian signals for this entire intersection. Next slide. Also, these are current pictures of the roadway as it exists now. So one of our recommendations is adding paved shoulders. This is more of a near-term recommendation. Next slide. For the long-term picture, this is scenario 1, is adding a 12-foot shared use path on the north side of the roadway. Scenario 2 is to widen Berry Hill Road to 4 lanes and having sidewalks on both sides of the roadway. And that concludes all of the recommendations that came out of this plan. Again, we're asking for comments by November 24th, and you can email or contact me or Mary Beth. And if you have any questions, me, Wiley, will be glad to help you.
I just was gonna see if Ray wanted to say anything about the surveys and the public outreach associated with this plan, because our PI department did quite a bit.
I sure do, and that's no fault of Jill's, it's my own. I made the PowerPoint and I forgot to include myself, so forgive me. I am pleased to say we had a successful outreach. We had over 200 people involved in the online surveys. We had 2 of those, 2 public workshops. We're keeping it really easy. And I don't have any slides to go over. I'm just going to throw a lot of numbers at you, so bear with me. Looking through, a lot of the names of the participants did overlap, but that's good. We got consistency, and that's what we like to see. That also means we had a return of people coming back to our site and interacting with ECRC. On average, 68% of participants lived on Berry Hill Road, near it, or used it for a majority of their travel. Overall, the numbers that mattered the most and correlate through what you're going to see and read through to make your suggestions, 73% of the numbers of people rated safety and bike ped at the highest. So those pedestrian crosswalks, those things, they are needed by the people. Let's see here. When presented with scenarios that Jill outlined, 46% of your participants felt in favor of 4-laning Berry Hill Road while simultaneously constructing that north shared use path. So they felt very strongly about that, and I think personally that does correlate. It covers a lot of what we're doing here. So lastly, I would love to read you all of the public comments that we received, but I have no time to read all 80 of them. We had a lot that came in, and I urge you very strongly to go through and read them. There are great voices being heard through those public comments, and we got some coming in. So thank you for your time. Do I have any questions? Wonderful.
Thank you, Ray, and thank you, Jill. You guys did a great job. In your information package, you have your minutes from the June meetings, actions report from the June meeting for the TPO, administrative tip amendments, the ECAT Transit Development Plan, major update, and I will say, I believe that full plan is in the packet, so you will be able to see the whole, I think it's the executive summary. Then we have a couple of letters to our consultants extending the contract with them, some letters to our legislative folks from Austin, and then our meeting schedule. Your next meeting will be on Monday, December the 6th, and I believe it will be in this same room. Can anybody from PI confirm that for me? Is the meeting gonna be here next in December? Okay, good. Okay. Thank you.
And that's all I have. So I think we can adjourn the meeting now.
It's time I know to slow down, breathe as I'm speaking.